Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Well, the Labour Congress has called a national strike which began 2 days ago. So what exactly is their grouse? Well, I can tell you for free that minimum wage is the number one. What else is in there? They're here. Let's ask them. We have development expert, Mr. Abiodun Bamidele. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we also have the Deputy General Secretary of the United Labour Congress of Nigeria, Mr. Onyeka Chris. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
It's good to be here again.
Good. So we're on strike.
Yeah.
Okay. Apart from minimum wage, what else is the problem?
Our major grouse is the minimum wage.
Okay.
There are other issues which we have been canvassing for all these years, but we do not want to drag them into this issue.
Okay.
So that
this
we
one
don't,
is minimum wage.
It's minimum wage, so that we don't cloud overcrowd.
So are you now saying that by the time they sort out the minimum wage, you can now bring up the other issues? Why didn't you just table all the issues at once?
This is minimum wage. It is essentially because they abandoned the table. It's essentially because they scuttled the process. Essentially because government showed irresponsibility. That was why we decided to go on strike.
When you said as of Wednesday morning when Labour came for that they are going on strike at midnight,
Yeah.
there was a meeting with government, right?
Yeah.
So that meeting wasn't worth shelving that strike for a few more days?
Government didn't come to the table with anything. There was no offer from government.
Okay. What were you asking for?
Yeah, essentially, this process is a process that was supposed to have been concluded in 2016. It wasn't done. We've kept on writing letters, series of letters since 2015, when we were getting to 2016, when we knew that the one that was signed in 2010, 2011 had expired, and we wanted a fresh negotiation. We were on that before the petroleum price increase came on, and there was also engagement with government. And government, in its wisdom, set up a 16-man technical committee. And one of the outcomes of that 16-man technical committee was supposed to be a minimum wage review committee. Now, which culminated into an inauguration of a minimum wage negotiation committee, a tripartite committee, by the president towards the end of last year. Now, it may interest you to know that that committee never sat till this year. It shows you that the motive of government is questionable.
No, hold on. Government has inaugurated the committee.
Yes.
So is it government that should not tell the committee to sit? There's a chairman, there's a secretary. So how come they didn't sit?
The chairperson of the committee was appointed by the government and in their own wisdom. And federal government was supposed to actually facilitate the meetings, but they never did. It took series of letters and threats before federal government decided to summon a meeting, the first inaugural meeting of that committee to sit. And when that committee started sitting, when the committee started sitting, till now, government has not deemed it necessary to come up with an offer. We have made our demands. The organized private sector have come up with their own offer. Labour has come up with a unified offer. But federal government and the state governors have not said anything concerning what they want to pay.
What is Labour asking, please?
No, we have United Labour Congress of Nigeria asked for 96,000. NLC and TUC asked for 56,000, but we have unified it to 65,000, which is the demand on the table. And that has also been negotiated to a particular point in time, but the government itself has not come up to you now, has not deemed it necessary to say, okay, this is how much you want to pay. And at the end of the day, decided on their own, arbitrarily, that they were going to suspend the process because they wanted to consult. You want to consult, it means that the government was ab initio, not on the table.
But hold on, this is a national minimum wage.
Yes.
Are you sure the states are going to be able to pay? Because even the 18,000, some states are not paying.
They're unable to pay.
On this platform, I have said that it is not capacity. Ajero will say that it is not the shortage of resources to pay the minimum wage. It is the shortage of will to pay the minimum. That is the problem. It is a problem that we have. They have okay, even when they went and borrowed, when they went and got money from federal government, okay, on behalf of Nigerian workers to pay minimum wage, did they pay? They didn't pay because they do not have the way. They see that money as their own. They see the resources of the states as theirs. That's unfortunate.
Chris, but you know that in some cases, some states genuinely cannot pay salaries.
if Ebonyi State can say that they are willing to pay a new minimum wage, and Gombe State has said they are willing to pay a new minimum wage, and the Edo State is already paying 25,000 naira, and many other states, the one that we consider poor, are saying we are ready to pay, which other state is going to say that it's not going to pay?
We'll come back to you.
Mr. Bamidele. Now, he said that the ULC said they wanted 96, the NLC said 56, and then they unified at 65. To your mind, what will a minimum wage of 65,000 naira do to the economy of this nation?
You know, I've been thinking so deeply over this entire matter, and there are still several questions yet to be answered. Let me put it for the record that I doubt if there is any Nigerian that is not sympathizing with the labor force with regards to what is the current minimum wage, 18,000.
Yes.
The question is, let's even take a young man who is just living alone. With 18,000 naira, he commutes to the place of work, he pays rent, he will feed, and all of that. I have done all series of calculation. I don't know how that works.
And non-tallies.
But as good as that is, wage is not a subject to be discussed in abstract. There is always a two sides to an equation, which is, in this case now, wage on one side, productivity on the other side. If one side of the equation is rising and the other is not, a state of disequilibrium will occur. And that is why I am thinking that while I agree with the quest for a new minimum wage, if I have the opportunity to really sit down with the leadership of the labor movement, I will be asking them to do the same thing, maybe in a different way. And this is what I mean. As it is now, what labor seems to be focusing on, to my mind, is what we call nominal income. And what I think they should actually be focusing on is real income. And what's the difference between the two? Let's even assume that at the end of the day, government comes to agree to pay 65,000, which you and I know as of today is an impossibility. But let's assume it happens. I can promise you that in the next couple of months, most workers will either get back to the same level by the force of what we call the Parkinson's syndrome, which simply means that as income rises, expenditure will rise to meet up with it.
Of course.
So you either now get to the same position you were, or even in some cases, you are even worse off. Therefore, I would have actually desired that, taking just one example, Labour is saying, let's sit down with government. And what we are agreeing on, for instance, is that on a yearly basis, let there be X number of houses built specifically for Nigerian workers. And the modality of payment will be rent to own. So that by the time you have worked for X number of years, there is something inside of you telling you that by the time I'm retiring, I'm not going to be retiring as a tenant. And then you can take that, when we succeed in that, you can take that to education. You can take that to, you know, some other areas. I think that would do more. And why am I proposing that? If I still stay on just that housing alone, if government says we're going to provide guarantee and also use the pension of that individual as collateral, private sector comes in to join hands with government. So you will see productivity going on, and then the benefits of that dovetails to the entire nation. The cement seller, we sell. The architect, we get engaged. Building contractors, we get engaged. And at the end of the day, it wouldn't be the one that you use one hand to collect more money. Landlord is using the other. to collect it from you immediately.
And the market women are also waiting.
That is definite. So that is actually the concern I have about the whole thing. As to whether the 18,000 is the way to go, in fact, can I say this? While we were in the, what's that place called now?
Waiting room.
The waiting room. One of the people waiting to come on board said, even the security man in my house does not get 18,000 naira. That shows that that is even not a matter for discussion. But the modality of how to go about it and what we are looking at is what I think needs to be checked.
Okay. The 65,000 naira, he says, will go in no time at all. Would it not be better to do things that will be of benefit to the worker than to give him cash, which value will dwindle in no time because the value of our naira?
You see,
please.
whether it is 18,000 or 65,000, the value of the naira will keep on dipping until the right things are done about the economy. It is not a new minimum wage that would cause a depreciation of the naira. Now, the labor movement is
to it.
The labor movement is not peopled by idiots. The labor movement are peopled by individuals that are technically deep. In the United Labour Congress of Nigeria, we had 7 variables. The issue of real wages and nominal wages are issues. I read economics. That was my first degree. I did a master's in economics. So I'm at home. Okay? And we do 7 variables. And when you look at the 7 variables, you find out that the list we had was 103,000. The same 18,000 naira we earned in 2011 should, if we want to be at the same position, we should be earning 103,000. And then others gave us 127,000. You look at the global index, look at the $2 per individual, and you look at the